No, a lot of opening thoughts. I think obviously big dual meet coming down to our, obviously winning the conference dual team championship. These guys know what's on the line. They're excited for it. We've had a lot of tests over the course of this year as far as, guys being in and out of the lineup and guys stepping up. And this is like no other week, where we got to have guys ready to go, guys stepping up, and they've done a good job so far. So looking forward to watching that tomorrow.
What does it mean to you to have Iowa State in this position again to win the conference?
It means that, the team's doing a good job. I think the added significance is this is the first year that they're going to actually call it, a team conference championship. So I think that there's it's not added weight necessarily, but added excitement about that. So, yeah, I mean, again, we go one competition at a time, one event at a time, and this is the next thing in front of us, of course. But there's definitely more on the line, and they know that. They're excited about that. If you walk in that locker room, which you probably haven't, but those are part of their goals, are to be the best in the conference is one of them. So this is our opportunity.
David Carr and Keegan are obviously going to get all the headlines, or a lot of them at least.
Yep.
But Missouri is a good team, top to bottom, just like you guys. What's this team matchup look like from your perspective?
They are a very good team from top to bottom. They're I'm going to call them a very funky team, and by that I mean they're a team that's really good at scrambling. They're a team that's really good, just generally really good on top. So they're probably a little bit different than most teams that you would face, just because every team's got kind of their thing, and their thing is their ability to scramble, their ability to put you in danger at any time. Compared to, I guess, if you were to describe our team and kind of what we've been doing this year, we've been attacking a lot. We've been doing a really good job of getting to our offense and scoring, and that happens to mash up really well with guys that like to scramble, right? So it's going to come down to our finishing. Are we hitting shots and we finishing quick, or are we, wading into their territory, which is diving in on legs and then getting in a scramble, and now we're hoping we end up on top. So that to me is going to be kind of the battle, is that we're continuing to get to our offense, but that we have quick finishes. So.
Is there anything that you're going to do in the room to prepare your guys for that, or is it just one of those things where, hey, finish quick?
Well, we had a quick turnaround, so there's hopefully most of that preparation has been done beforehand, and by that I mean we always preach quick finishes. We always work on scrambling, and we always work on, hey, guys are looking for ankles, you got to hide your ankles. So I think, on the quick turnaround, I don't think we have a special practice. You don't do anything like that where it's like, hey, we're going to change everything we do. But as far as, obviously us individual coaches have our individual athletes. I think that communication is definitely happening where it's like, hey, be aware of what we're getting into here, and, make sure we're really on top of it. Make sure that we're really got an extra pop, that we put them down, and we're not messing around, or we're not, being really slow in our finishes.
And then speaking of just quick finishes versus that scrambly style, that might not be more epitomized than David Carr and O'Toole. What's that matchup look like to you? Because David he's technically phenomenal. He's always in great position.
Yeah.
And Keegan wants to get you out of that a little bit. So what's that matchup look like to you?
It's interesting. I was actually, before I walked in here, one of my good friends was asking me about that duel, that match, like everyone's asking me. And honestly, it's going to go one of two ways. There's going to be a ton of action and a ton of flurries. And if you ask me as David's coach, that favors him, because he honestly doesn't, I think he could get into more scrambles. He could create more action because he's really good. If you watch him in the room here, action doesn't favor you against him, or it could be a closer match, and then I think that favors David as well, because he's the guy, he can go get one if he's got to go get one. So I'm biased because I believe in our guy, but if I had to guess how the match could go, I don't know. Really, it depends on kind of what I'm going to guess O'Toole brings, right? If he comes out and he's firing, then we're going to have that sort of match. If he wants to stand around and not do a whole lot, our message to David is, hey, create your action. What would be the last 4 matches has been awesome. You could just tell he's got that look in his eye where he's going out and he's working really hard to get his offense going. So, I don't know. I think it'll be one of the two.
What kind of changes, or really what have you worked on with David in the room to really elevate himself this season?
for David, it's not any magical moves. It's here. It's that belief. It's wanting to be the guy to separate yourself, and then going out and doing it. And those are two different things, right? Because everyone wants to dominate people, but you gotta be willing to lay it on the line a little bit in the beginning, so that gap starts to widen, and then you can start following through with that, if that makes sense. So that's kind of the change I've seen out of him, is whether it's work that he's done on his own, or whether it's just where he's just like, you know what, I'm gonna go put it out there, I'm gonna go lay it out there, and then as you've seen, really good things happen, because when that kid is in wrestling positions, he wins.
What are you looking for out of younger Bastida this weekend? Obviously, lost one to Zach Brunago, who's a very good wrestler, but last year against Rocky Elam, had some really good matches, really tight matches, beat him once, I think lost him in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
He was ranked number 1 for a lot of this year. What are you looking for out of younger this year, this match?
Younger, big keys are just finishing. He's going to get opportunities to leg, just finishing, and then staying in your stance. The times where guys get to him is when he just relaxes a little bit, and then you give a guy your leg. And there's times where you're watching and it's a miracle and you're like, how do you defend that? But we don't have to be there. We don't have to, in these let's just call them high-level matches, or really tough guys, we don't have to be in a position where our foot's over our head. We don't have to get there. So the way we can control that is staying in our stance the whole 7 minutes, having no moments of relax. And then when we get to the leg, we got to finish. I would say the last match he gave himself maybe 4 or 5 opportunities. You got to be finishing. You want to finish 5, but we got to finish 3. We got to finish 2 or 3 of those, right? So that's his focus, and he's dialed in. He's ready to go.
How good was it to see Casey Swiderski get back on track?
Really good. Same thing, different deal, but he's a freshman. I think I heard Coach Schwab, actually, it was really insightful. Coach Schwab said something like, hey, that kid has probably lost 5 or 6 times in a row in his life. And it's probably truth, right? So, getting through that, and a lot of it was talk from us and to him, but it's got to come from them. They got to kind of make it click in their head that, just go out and let it be. Let it fly. And my communication's always been to him, because he's, after the matches, he's frustrated. I didn't do enough. And I'm like, well, I'd rather lose and throw it all out there than not do anything and then be in the corner here and upset, like, I didn't do enough, right? So let's throw it out there, and that's what we saw, right? So obviously we could finish a couple more of those shots. We can, same thing with him, where he relaxes a little bit, and then you gave up some easy points. But, my message to Casey is like, hey, that's it, dude. That's the pace. That's the Casey that's going to do some serious damage. So hopefully he keeps that rolling. I think he will.
Talk about the atmosphere of wrestling at Missouri.
It was pretty good. I think it was pretty good last year. We'll see. I think that this is definitely, they're hyping it up. I think I'm hearing a lot about, obviously, 2 highly ranked teams. There's a lot on the line. You've got this matchup. A lot of interest to be there. So, yeah, it was good last year. I think last year we quieted it down pretty quick there at the end, so that was a good feeling. I would prefer to go into environments and have it be dead silent when you go into the enemy arena. That's what drives me nuts about UNI is, it's just like right there from just like it being dead silent, and then, they got reason to cheer, which is good. It's a good environment, so.
Perfect.